With the many crimes that this movie commits against cinema, I can only say one thing: Lady Gaga is innocent. Hello Flickering Myth family, and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ, and I have been waiting to talk about this movie since it was announced. As a massive Lady Gaga fan, as someone who admires DC Comics, and as someone who hated the first Joker movie, we have a lot to talk about with this divisive film. Yes, we are talking about Joker, Folie Å Deux. Well, we are finally here with a Joker sequel, and first and foremost, I don't think this movie needs to exist. I did not like the first Joker movie that much. I didn't think it was worthy of a sequel. Even if it was worthy of a sequel, the narrative of the film never really allowed for it to be followed up with. This movie does justify its existence slightly by going a crime, like a courtroom drama aspect. That was probably the most shocking and most surprising element. I adored that. I thought those were some of the better scenes here, and I liked the darker tone of this movie. The first film felt like it was like, oh, isn't this sad? Aren't we just sad about mental illness? And I'm like, Todd Phillips, what the hell are you trying to say about this? This movie's just like, no, we're not trying to make a statement. We're not trying to be like cool or like pretentious and artsy. We're just making a messed up movie. For me, at times, this movie was my heart stopper, watching the most disgusting two people fall in love with each other. And then at other times, I was very confused and very bored and very just trying to figure out what was going on. And then other times I'm like, wow, what a great musical number. Wow, Joaquin Phoenix surprised me with his performance in this musical aspect. There are so many conflicting feelings. This movie threw me for a loop a couple times. I just don't know what to say. I don't want to be too hard against the film because I don't think it's like the worst piece of poop I've ever seen. I think it's an improvement over the first Joker film, but I do think it has many problems with mostly just centered around Joaquin Phoenix just feeling like at times he doesn't want to be there. The performance feels like what the first movie had, but maybe turned up to just a slight notch, not even turned up to an 11. He was giving me a 7 in the first movie. This was turned up to maybe an 8.5, maybe a 9 at times. There is that Joker performance in that courtroom. Oh, that was the Joker performance that I needed. That was what I wanted the whole movie. Sadly, this movie lets Gaga down. Where is Leigh? Where is she in this movie? There's times where I'm like, we could be doing more with this. We could be doing more with her narrative. We could be building something up. Oh my goodness, this movie threw me for a loop a couple times, like I said, but mostly I just wanted it to be better, or I wanted it to be worse, because at least I would have more to talk about. Sadly, I'm just kind of in this meh state. Arthur Fleck is on trial for the many murders he committed during his crazy run as the Joker. But what is the Joker? Who is the Joker? Is it a split personality? Is it a character he curated? Or is it just something that is, just a flash in the pan of his moment? It's just a delusion that he lives. That's what we're trying to figure out throughout this film. He is going through a trial. We're seeing a slow manipulation of him, though. We're seeing him meet this one woman, played by Lady Gaga, who is Leigh Quinzel. She is a patient, he thinks, and maybe, she's a little bit more than that. Maybe she's less than that. And she starts kind of pushing him towards accepting the Joker role. A lot of people around him, and sometimes even Arthur himself, doesn't really believe he's the Joker, but the delusion keeps getting stronger. And that's kind of the story of this. That we don't really do a lot of narrative choices. There is a couple like, oh, Harvey Dent's in this movie. Oh, we're trying to add a little bit of extra kind of DC lore. Or maybe we're trying to pad out this particular version of Gotham a bit more. But overall, we just kind of treaded water for a little bit. We were just watching Arthur prepare for this big trial. Now, I do think the explosive final act, no pun intended, does get a bit interesting. And then the movie gets a fairly predictable route. I'm honestly surprised at where I'm like, oh, that makes sense. The ending, I think, was supposed to be a more shocking revelation, though I will talk about the feelings and the divisive nature even in my own screening. But I will say the ending just was like, for me, just like, oh, that's exactly what I would imagine. I just honestly wanted more Leigh. And I'm wearing a Lady Gaga shirt. I have a Lady Gaga tattoo. I understand I'm coming into this as a Gaga fan, but when she's outperforming Joaquin at times, and maybe that could be an issue. Maybe someone saw the final edit of a cut before and said, maybe we need a little less Gaga. As if you follow the production or seen some of the trailers, there's a lot of scenes within the production that they filmed, if you've seen any behind the scenes stuff, or within those first couple trailers that don't make it to the final product. And it feels like a last minute change was made to this movie, and it shifted, made Gaga more of a supporting character while giving us more of a Joaquin Phoenix performance that we've seen before. One thing I do appreciate about this movie is it makes some big swings and makes some bold choices. Do I agree with every choice? Do I think every swing is a hit? Not at all, but my goodness, when the person who is dressed up as a Joker, character from the movie, is just angry after it, but then the couple right next to me is just like, oh, that was a fine movie. I love that. I love a movie that makes you feel things. Good, bad, hate it or love it. This movie has gotten people talking, and honestly, there's a part of me that feels like the movie doesn't even deserve that. It's not even that shocking. It's darker, I will say. It's much more of a brutal, nihilistic film, but it isn't as shocking. There isn't stuff that makes me feel like they're trying to break new ground. It just seems like well-worn territory, but I do appreciate that it does try, like I said, those musical numbers, or a more of a reflection on Arthur that a lot of people don't really, I think, are prepared for. I think the way that this movie handles Arthur, the way it handles the Joker character, the way Todd Phillips wanted to push this narrative, it feels like a push back at the reception of the first film, or the incel label that it got, or the weird Joker fandom that is always there, and why I did not like reviewing the first one. I don't want to deal with Joker fans. They're not usually my favorite human beings, especially within the DC fandom, and it feels like Todd Phillips was like, oh, I made the movie and the wrong people liked it. It kind of compares to Fight Club, where David Fincher made Fight Club, and then it feels like the wrong group of people saw that movie and understood none of the satire, none of the mockery of it. That's where I feel like Todd Phillips was trying with the first film, but he's not a competent director to make a good satire or a good mockery that we all like, oh, I see what you're doing. So then he accumulates this weird fandom that is hungry for something that this movie wasn't trying to represent. So now Todd Phillips has a chance to justify it, and it's conflicting, and it's going to piss off fans of the original, but someone like me thinks this is a bit better because the craftsmanship's there. It's a bit more interesting. Bare bones, this is at least more interesting than the first Joker. Is it better? Is it polished? I really don't know yet. I'll have to sit on the, is it a whole, as a whole, a better film? But at least it's more interesting. This was the section that I was going to say, what are the awards chances for this movie? Where could it fall into this season's awards? And honestly, with Joaquin Phoenix leaving the Todd Haynes film, with Lady Gaga's role feeling very supporting, with the score winning originally, with Joaquin winning originally, with Todd Phillips giving some unjustified nominations that first round, where do we go from here? I definitely say Lady Gaga should be on a ballot. As a supporting performance, this is exactly kind of a classic supporting role. She's not too far in, but she's not too little in. It's a great amount of a character portrayal, and Lady Gaga owns it. I think she has not had a supporting acting nomination yet, and it could be an interesting spot for her. Joaquin Phoenix does a similar performance, so I wouldn't have voted for him in 2019, that 2020 season. Not would have been my vote. So if you vote for him again, it would make sense because you liked it. But again, well-worn territory, would not put him here. I will say cinematography, a major improvement. There is a slight better technical aspect. I like the editing a bit more here. Maybe the narrative choices, I don't love the edit of that, but with the actual edit, the cuts, the match cuts, the way that they transition scenes, the pacing of it, I enjoyed all of that. I think those are the strong points of it. But direction, narrative-wise, I would red pen so much of this script. I would have changed so many directorial choices by Todd Phillips. But overall, I think it is just going to be a average Joker movie. Again, upgrade from what we previously saw, but I don't think it's going to win anyone new over, and it could possibly piss off people that were really fans of the first one. The critical and audience reception is all over the place. The awards chances, who knows? But that is my feelings on Joker 2, Joker, Folie Å Deux. Well, I don't know. What did you guys think of the movie? I think it's a fine movie. It's going to be kind of in one ear, out the other. If Lady Gaga was not the co-star, I don't think it would be anywhere as memorable, anywhere as compelling. It's an interesting upgrade compared to the first film, but overall, I do think it's just kind of, okay, that's definitely a movie that exists. You definitely tried to do another Joker movie. Not going to be $1 billion entry like the last time, but it's definitely not going to be like the worst, like, megalopolis that we've ever seen. Alright guys, what did you think of my review? What do you think of the movie? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if you're a big Lady Gaga fan and you were disappointed, or if you're a die-hard 2019 Joker fan and you are just confused by what the choices that they've made here. Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and subscribe to Flickering Myth for more videos just like this.